Okay, let's highlight that. Panty liners, girls, are boo. We don't like
Yeah.
liners. There are certain situations you might need one, but every day, nah, boo.
And that's what I was doing for years. I was
Wow.
doing yes, for years. And so I decided I was going to stop doing the panty liners. And then I went on a trip to Bali. And I think probably because the
Nice.
water is different. The Bali trip was amazing, but that's a conversation for another day. But I think maybe because the water was different, the way it interacted with my Kushae, like I don't know. And so when I got back to the States, I realized that my discharge
Was discharging.
Right, it was discharging, and I'm like,
You're like, who that?
What's that? And so I went to the doctor. And I had started doing research. I was like, "Is this BV or like, what exactly is happening?" Because
Right.
it's not itchy down there. It's not burning. Nothing crazy is happening. It's just that smell is smelling.
Hello, hello, gentle listeners. You are now tuned in to Kushae Chronicles. I am your host, Kimba the Natural Diva, and Kushae Chronicles is back again with another episode of Real Talk, Real Women, and Real Health. Because as you know, if you have a Kushae, you have a story. We are deliciously excited to introduce our next guest, a good friend of mine, a badass in the creating community and culture business, Ms. Makisha Noel. Hello, darling. How are you?
Hello. Thank you for having me today. I am great. I'm
Absolutely.
great. I'm great. Yes.
Looking beautiful. I was just talking to Makisha in like pre-studio stuff, and I was like, "Girl, why do you look like Missy Elliott today?" I think it's the gold chain. I don't know what it is,
Oh,
but
yes. I think it is the gold chain too. Yes. That definitely added to it.
absolutely. So no
Hmm.
relation, right? No relation to Missy.
No
Okay.
relation. No relation.
All
But
right.
like
It's
I
all
said,
good.
I would love to play her in her biopic one day. So, hit me up,
Missy.
Hollywood.
Exactly. I'll let you, girl. Hit me up, hit her up, hit us up. Very good. All right, my
Yes.
love. So, we're going to get started with talking about your story, telling your amazing story, and all that you're doing in the community of South Florida and beyond. So, tell the people, Ms. Noel, who is Makisha Noel?
Yes. Ooh, okay. I am a Black woman. I am a
Yes.
sister, a daughter, a friend. I am happy, grateful to be in the position to serve my community through Creative Culture Tribe, where I bring together Black and Brown women creators and entrepreneurs, and also Black and Brown people to play tennis. I'm also the founder of Miami Tennis Club. I'm not sure if you knew that, actually, Kimba.
I saw that in
I
your bio, and I was like, we don't have to talk about that because how, when, where, why, back
Yes,
then. Okay.
right. Forehand. I started Miami Tennis Club in 2020, my siblings, when it was during the pandemic, and we just wanted a way to have fun and to be fit at the same time. And we actually started off by playing pickleball. Things that pickleball was like, it wasn't as fun on the court. And we thought we were just looking crazy. And so we're like, why don't we actually just learn tennis? And so that's what we did. And so since then, it has organically grown to a community of 200 plus people in our WhatsApp group. And we play every Sunday for several hours in
Really?
Miami. Yes, 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 every single Sunday. And I also play during the week as well because I'm thinking about competing in 2025. And so I'm like, you know what? I need to get my skill up. I need to be out here. I need
Are
to,
you good? Are you that good? Okay, competing.
yeah, I would say my skill has improved over time. And yes, I will say, literally the other day I was playing, I was like, wait a minute, how I
Is
just
that me?
increased another level? Yes,
Am I the
yes.
drama?
Right, right. Always, always. But that is another way that I serve my community. And I'm also an MC and event host. I bring the energy to every stage that I step on. I love just I just love bringing people closer to their destinies and helping them to recognize their greatness. And so I do that really well on stage and on the mic. So yeah,
You do.
yes.
I must concur, darling. You do. I
Thank
love it. I
you.
love your
Thank you.
energy. Love your vibe. Now, let's talk about where we met. I know that, so we'll talk about
Yes.
your podcast and we listen, you got
Yes.
so much going on, boo. I love it. So, first of all, we met through a community group called Black Girls Miami. So, we're both, headquartered in South Florida. I'm up in bougie ass Palm Beach.
I'm not all the way up there. I'm not. Mm-hmm.
Listen, it's all good. You know, we're
Mm-hmm.
cool. And then you're in Broward, so you're closer to Fort Lauderdale area.
Oh, I'm not in
And
Broward. Woo,
oh,
wait,
you're Miami
hold on.
proper. You're Miami proper.
Yes, I'm not.
My bad.
Listen. What did they say? I'm going to beat the allegations.
Ooh,
I am not based in Broward, and if anything, I actually roast people who say they're from Miami when they're actually from Broward. No, 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 no,
you
no,
like, don't do
no.
me like that.
Yes, from
Okay,
Miami, born and
305.
raised. Yes,
Three
yes,
oh five.
yeah, yes, yes, yes.
All right, let me put some respect on your name. 305 in the building. Very nice. Born and raised, and then also of Haitian descent. So, Sakpase.
Yes, 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 yes. It's a lot of identities. I was like, oh, did I miss out that one thing? That thing, that thing? Yes, I'm
Girl.
also Haitian, born and
Yes.
raised in Miami. Yes, yes, yes.
Zonation.
Yes.
Big up yourself,
Mm-hmm.
Zonation.
Mm-hmm. Po, po, po.
So, so born and raised in Miami, you're growing up, you're doing the things. You are, first of all, fast forward the CEO of Creative Culture Tribe. But how did you get there? So many people start off with leaving school, starting jobs, trying to figure out their world. But here you are, the master of creating community, culture, vibes, togetherness. How do you even get there? How does that happen?
Yes, I mean, really, it started a long time ago. I think as far as I can remember, I was always interested in exploring my passions and exploring my creativity. And so I can really think as far as back to even elementary school. I was in the choir. I was a part of our Disney production of. I think it was a whole Disney production because it wasn't just Lion King and Beauty of the Beast and the Pocahontas. Like I literally played, and I was roasted for years in school after this. But I played the Beast, and so like,
Oh no! Are you?
yes, I did. You may have something cutesy and demure and this and that. I did not. It
You
was
were
actually
like,
my best
ah.
friend, right? It was my best friend that played Pocahontas and like literally got that solo. She always got the solos when we were younger, but that's what it was. And so I was like, look, I'm still gonna find ways to be a part of this production.
Yes.
So I signed up to be the Beast. And so they literally like bought the head thing and everything, like the beast head. Yes.
Yes.
And the reason why people knew that it was me is because there were these booths I wore to school every single day. And so people were like, wait a minute. And so they started calling me the beast after that. And I was like,
Oh
but at least I was part of
no!
the production. Yes. I learned a whole routine, a dance routine. Yes.
With the
I put in
head
that
on.
work.
Wait, so you had the
Yes.
head and you're dancing with the beast head and the beast costume and okay,
Well,
very
so it was
good.
actually like a ballroom dance. Like I had to
Oh, that's
learn like
right.
ballroom choreography and
Right.
was dancing with who was the beauty. And so like, yeah, so it wasn't my face I was showing I had the thing on. But that was like one of my earliest times. I mean, outside of church, but like just performing and being on stage and learning how to project and learning how to, you know, just knowing that when you get on stage, there is a side of you that has to come out. And so, you know, fast forward a little bit in middle school, I actually, for a very short time, my best friend and I were on the basketball team and we were terrible. We did not know what we were doing. And it was just bad. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad.
You're like, pass me the ball. They
Um,
were like, no, 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 absolutely not.
Right. And here's the thing. One time they did pass me the ball and I went and I shot it in the other team's basket. That's how little I knew what I was doing. Like, it was
They were like,
crazy.
she's out, substitute, substitute,
Right,
substitute.
right. The coach came out to me at the end of the game, like, oh, we have a sixth player. And like, high-fived me. And I was like, yeah. Literally zero idea. It was bad.
It's so bad.
And so like, and I remember these things because it was really at such a young age that I just learned to explore my interests. And probably at the time, like you would think, oh, she's doing the most, like she just needs to choose one thing. No. And I'm very grateful to my parents for allowing me those opportunities. So as I got older in high schools, when I joined the Key Club, which is a student run service organization. And so at that time I had to like gather students in different schools to come together to volunteer. So I'm giving a lot of background information just to show like, you know, how it's been a constant theme in my life to explore my creativity and just explore that world. And so when I graduated college and I moved back to Miami because I went to UCF, well, I went to Miami-Dade College first. and then I went to UCF. Shout out to those who went to Miami-Dade.
I was gonna say, because Miami-Dade
And
don't be getting no credit. You know what I'm saying? You
they
gotta start
don't.
small. Think big, start small. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Like, I'm telling you, Miami-Dade, they used to say that, oh, it's the 13th grade. It's not an actual real school. I will vouch for this. I don't care. I will vouch for that school. That school really, it really was the foundation of me in my collegiate career. And so even though I commuted to school, I treated like I was on a regular campus. Like, that's how much I absolutely loved it. And so, yeah, so went to UCF, moved back to Miami, and I realized that as someone who I realized that my desire for exploring my different passions also led me to a space where I realized I was a multi hyphenate. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm really great at these different things. So where are the Black women who are also great at different things, and not just as like a Jill of all trades, but as like who are like actually really really great in different areas.
I gotcha.
And
But wait, what
so
did you
that's
study
where
at UCF? What did you study
business
real quick?
administration.
Oh,
Yeah.
business. Okay, perfect.
Yes. And the reason why I studied business because I understood that as an entrepreneur, I could choose any path.
Right.
Right. So if I'm an
Exactly.
entrepreneur, I mean, I knew I didn't want to be a doctor, lawyer, and an engineer.
Hmm.
That's where Caribbean parents push you to. And I
That's
was
the only
like,
three
look,
jobs that matter. Just like they don't even know no other jobs. They're like, which of the three are you gonna pick?
right, right. And they almost, here's the thing, my parents almost convinced me to take the nursing route. I remember I sat down with my counselor and was like, you know what? Let's look at these different paths here. And I sat there and I said, you can't do it. You can't trick me. I'm not. I can't go the nursing route. I don't have it in me. I don't. Please, please, please. And so I ended up continuing the path to business because I figured that if there's anything in life that I want to do, I'll be able to have that flexibility because I understand. I understand what risk looks like, right? Like you can start a business literally for anything, and so yeah. So when I couldn't find that community of Black and brown women who looked like me, who were across these different industries, I was like, all right, looks like I'm gonna do the work, and that's just what I'm gonna do. So it started off with I was gonna call it the Makisha Noel annual brunch, and so that's what the first one was called, and that was in 2017. And then I realized, like, okay, this was a cool brunch and all, but Miami don't seem to be giving what it needs to give, and that's when I left and moved to DC. And so Creative Culture Tribe actually was like birthed in DC because DC was having a similar challenge with finding Black women creators. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, really?
So
Okay, so
yeah.
DC, Chocolate City. I love
Hmm.
DC. I couldn't live there though. Shout out to DC. I love it. It's amazing. The Smithsonian's, the all the things. But it's cold. I'm not doing the cold right now
It
though. So
is, but I mean,
that's
DC
my
is
thing.
not as cold as like New York,
I
and it
mean,
gets pretty cold though. But
and I'm from New York. So the thing was I was like, either I'm gonna stay in New York and be cold or I'm gonna move to palm trees and beaches. Like, what we doing?
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
makes
I had to
sense,
skip all
makes
that.
sense.
All right, so you're in DC. How old are you when you moved to DC?
Ooh, I was 20. I think I was 22 or 23.
And you
Yeah, no,
just
no,
was
I was
like,
23.
bye, I'm leaving.
Yes, I had
Okay.
a job in Miami, and I think what happened. Oh, I think I got fired from my job. I can say this now. Oh my God. Woo, I was 23. Yes. I got fired from working when I was at WeWork. The world doesn't know this. I've never said this on the podcast.
Oh, but here we
Um,
go. Y'all heard it here first.
right, right. And the thing that WeWork was actually a dream job for me to be in a place with entrepreneurs in this creative, fun, high energy space. And so the workplace just kind of it became a bit toxic. And at the time, like my manager and I butt heads. And again, I was 23 years old. I have since left my 30s, so this is not who I am to this day. But I had a little bit of tussle, a little bit of tussle. She asked me, no, she didn't ask it. She was like, "Do you need to take a walk?" And I was like, "No, do you?" And I was a young girl. I was a young girl, made me a
I
little
would have been
mistake.
like, how about you meet me outside?
Right, right, right. I was a young girl.
Yes.
But yeah, so I was 23 when I moved to DC with like $2,000 in my
Oh
pocket.
my God. Okay, so did you know anybody? Because DC ain't cheap. So did you know
Not
somebody? Were you
cheap.
just like wing on a prayer? Like what was you doing?
I had a singular friend that I went to Miami-Dade with. I went to Miami-Dade with her, and she lived in DC at the time. I think she probably moved to DC maybe 2 years prior. And so in like May of 2017, I went on a girls trip with my sister-in-law's friends. And so when we did DC in New York, and when I was in DC, I was like, wait a minute, DC is a vibe, an entire vibe. And I asked myself, why do I live here again? And so in October of 2017, I was like, all right, peace out, y'all. That's what I got. Thank you, Miami. And I never thought I'd be coming back here.
Wow.
I never thought I'd be coming back to Miami. Never, 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 never. Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like you got the love and affection you needed from DC. How did you do that? Because, every city you move to can be very cliquish. People went to high school together. I've known them since they were a little, yay high, or we went to, college together, but you dropped into this whole city, which is huge, not knowing anybody but, your one friend. Shout out to your one friend. Shout out to your one friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How did you start getting back into, I need to find these Black women who are doing amazing things and kind of run this thing? How did that work?
I was just curious. And I was always, so even though I didn't find like creative community initially, I did find some communities. So one thing that's popular in DC is like the Google listservs, which folks down here don't use that, but it was like a listserv. Yeah, and so it's like a listicle type of situation where like a community forum, I think is the best way to describe it. Yes, and so use that to find people, and I think through that I found a Facebook group called The Spoons. And in that group, like that's where like people engaged too. And there were like the women were from like everywhere. And so one time I posted that like I think after that trip I posted, hey, so I'm thinking about moving to DC, y'all. Does anyone have any recommendations? And so someone posted that there's this one person who lives in a row house that she is potentially considering having a roommate. And so that's when I commented, and I was like, oh, let me look into this. And so fast forward, I ended up connecting with her, and she ended up being my first roommate in DC. And so I moved into the house that she was living in, and she was probably like just a few years younger than me. And yeah, I found her, and it was the best first place to live in living in DC, just because of who she was. Like she had just experienced so much growth as a person, and what she shares with me, like the person that she is now, she was like, I've done a lot of work to get to this place and to be her. And so I just learned so much from her journey. And so living there, it was like an oasis. And I really feel like it was a lot of becoming for me. It was, yeah, oh my gosh. I just learned so much about myself through that process that I just didn't get being in my hometown in Miami. That's how I push people like, yo, if you feel like you want to leave your city, go. Do it.
Yeah.
This economy is a little,
it's shaky, right? So before COVID, you could have dipped and made it work, but now you might need to stay your ass home. But we're gonna try to figure that out.
Look, and I mean, honestly, I will say it was not COVID times. Like, the prices weren't pricing how they are now, right. And so I was able to leave my hometown without a job.
I was gonna say, how are you paying these bills? This poor roommate was like, "Girl, what you gonna do with these bills, though?"
Yeah, I mean, I figured it out. I did not have a job. I did have a job interview the Monday that I moved, but I did not get that job. And so I honestly think it was also God, because when I say I literally moved with $2,000 in my pocket, and my rent was $800. So my piece of the rent was $800. Yeah, so I was able to do 2 months, and then close to the end of those 2 months is when I finally landed a full-time temporary job. And so that is what sustained me. Yes.
Girl. That is so you basically paid 2 months rent with starving. Okay, great.
A little bit. I was starving a little bit. Yes. But it was
You were
great. I mean,
like,
it was tough. But
I'm sure. But it was back, it reminds me of college days where you like, who got half a ramen pack? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right,
holla at your
right.
girl. I'll split a ramen pack with you. Like, what's up? So,
Hmm.
okay. So we know how to make it work with, just scratching two dimes together. We got this. Very good.
Hmm.
So your beautiful roommate was helping you bloom and blossom into the beautiful woman that you are today. You get this temporary job because, we need to eat. We need to pay this for this little room. When does the tribe start coming together? What does it look like?
I think the tribe really started coming together in probably about a year after I moved. A year after I moved, yes. In 2018 was when I attended a creative conference for the first time in DC called BYOB, Build Your Own Brand. And it was founded by Drew Nguyen. And he's just really dope. He's actually an Asian guy. He's Asian. And just, yeah, and a part of Alpha Phi Alpha. So
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Like he's
we part of the
integrated in the
tribe.
community. Yes, he integrated in the community. And so I attended that conference for the first time, first ever creative conference. And then I just started finding people from the conference and the people in the DC community. I got active with the DMV Black Restaurant Week. And so I started going to their happy hours, joined the team as well, started meeting people through there. And so there's like a small, at the time, there was a very small creative community in DC. And so I started just bringing the women together with smaller meetups. Like they were small. It was probably like less than 10 people.
I was like, it
Less than
was
10 people that would
you,
come together.
him.
Right, right, right. Very small community. And so even though I was in DC, kind of, living my life and bringing the women together and like really empowering myself because I was learning a lot about myself. I also I still had a heart for Miami. I still had a heart for Miami. And so that's when I worked together with my friend to execute our first annual Creative Culture Tribe Miami Summit. And so that was in March of 2019. March 2019, yes. And so that was like someone has told me that that conference was before its time because those kind of communities, like to bring Black creative women together, and even in 2019, which is crazy, in 2019 was pretty rare in Miami. And so to have that conference, some of our sponsors were Pepsi, Lectern Journals, Aunt Jackie's, Aunt Jessie's too. So the different hair care brands. It was just phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
Right, right. And what was your
Hmm.
goal? Like, what were when you plan this whole thing and you're sweating
Hmm.
and bullets and buckets of tears and blood and all the things, and you're like, at the end of the day, I want to make sure that people walk away feeling like blank. Like, what was the goal for the people that came through?
I wanted people to walk away feeling seen.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
absolutely wanted people to walk away feeling seen because I felt invisible for so long,
As
right?
a creator.
Because as a creator, as a
Yeah.
creator, as a Black woman, because being someone from Miami, like what is Miami known for? Like the beaches, the fast cars, the women, the Latina women,
Yes. The
it's
bikini bodies, all of that.
right. When you think
Right.
of Miami, you don't necessarily think about Black women who are articulate, who are running their business, you know, who are just about their business. And so I just oftentimes think when people think Miami, they don't necessarily think of me, but like there are so many women who look like me who are doing amazing things in this city. And so I wanted to create the platform for them to see each other and for them to also be seen by the industries that they're in. And so I do think that I accomplished that well in 2019. And then the pandemic hit, and it was like, ooh,
You like, ain't nobody
all
getting together no more.
right, right. I honestly, I really thought the pandemic wasn't going to phase me in how I ran
Mm,
what I was doing. Yeah, but
really?
the pandemic it took me down for the count. I will say, I kind of went dark a little bit. Like at first, we're doing virtual calls and things like
Right.
that. And then the pandemic was like, all right, girl, pack it up. So
You, your
yeah.
laptop, get your ass out of
Yes, right.
here.
And that's what it was. Because, like, as you know, obviously the pandemic was tough for a lot of people.
Yep.
But there were a lot of people who benefited financially
Yeah,
during the
for sure.
pandemic, and their businesses really grew. And especially a lot of community-based businesses too, which was amazing. But yeah, I wasn't one of those people that like still had the strength to keep going. I really didn't. I was really down for the count. So yeah.
It became like a fight for your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I come from the e-com side. E-com was booming. So I was like, okay, buy these products, y'all. But meanwhile, I'm like, are we gonna be alive tomorrow? Like, what we doing? So, who's taking the shot, who's not? Like, it was just what the hell? I mean, but in the
Hmm.
history books, it'll be like, oh, your grandmama was in COVID. You'd be like, yes, baby, grandma was at the COVID.
I got COVID a couple times, but I survived.
Grandma's a
I'm excited to be
fighter.
a grandma, honestly.
You be like, now run your ass
Yeah.
along.
Hmm.
So you're down for the count. What are you doing in that space then? Are you trying to figure out how to rebuild? Are you just like, Lord, just save me one more day? What are you doing? Because going from this historic summit before its time, bringing beautiful Black women together, having to be seen, to basically a blackout. Good luck with being seen. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think I spent a lot of time reflecting. I spent a lot of time reflecting, but also when I moved back to Miami, I realized that was a joy that I hadn't experienced in a long time as it relates to kind of living my life for the enjoyment of just my life. And so I'll say a couple at the end of 2020 and going into 2021, I just had a lot of fun. I just had a lot
Mm.
of fun. Like
You was like, we
you
about to die
know,
anyway. No.
like look, I did like boat parties, like house parties. Like I just really just had a lot of fun because I realized that's what I needed. And I had just been working so much. Even when I was living in
Mm.
DC, I was jumping in and out of entrepreneurship, full-time job, entrepreneurship, full-time
Yeah,
job.
because DC's not cheap. You
It's
gotta,
not. It's not.
mm-mm.
Yeah. And so I realized that the pandemic, while it really sucked, it gave me an opportunity to take a step back and just relax and like enjoy my life. But people were like dropping, yeah, people were like dropping like flies, and so it was just really, really scary at the time. But I do think that the taking the break allowed me a bit of rest that I needed to. And so I would say we're in 2024. So last year, I would say is when Creative Culture Tribe really revived. And it's so
Okay.
weird that it was just last year, but it
I
really
know,
revived last
2023.
year. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Wow. Now, in the meantime, I know you've worked with large corporations, and it's probably because they've been looking for folks who can galvanize the Black folks, right, in the Black and Brown communities. How did that come about? Did you pitch yourself? Did they come to you? How did you find your way to being of value to some of these larger corporations?
Yeah. So I will say technically technically they didn't necessarily come to me looking for those communities specifically. I realized I didn't mention this at the beginning that my work is in marketing advertising. Woo, like
Yes.
literally
You
so
got
many
like 80
titles.
things.
My God, I can't believe I literally forgot that. But in the marketing advertising world, I am a brand strategist, social media strategist. And
Mm.
so it was a bit after the pandemic. So before the pandemic, I became a self-taught brand strategist, right? And so after the pandemic, when companies realized, like, oh, Black Square, oh, we should probably show our commitment to Black people, that's when the industry started to open up a little bit. And that's when they started hiring more Black and Brown folks. And so I started, although I was like doing social media and like brand strategy before I got any of those jobs, but one of my first roles officially in the marketing advertising industry was with Ogilvy. If you're
Okay.
familiar with Ogilvy, it's
Like Palmolive,
just
aren't they connected with Palmolive? No, Palmolive company, no.
no, I don't think so. I don't think
Oh, never
so.
mind.
But it's an
Mm.
advertising industry. It's an advertising agency that's been around for a very long
Oh, okay,
time.
gotcha.
Yes, and so it was with Ogilvy where I really got my start of working with those Fortune 500 companies, creating strategy for them specifically. And so my clients were Merck, Unilever, Walgreens, IBM. Yeah, so that's where I like touched those bigger. I'm sure there's a lot more I have to look at my resume. And then I worked for other agencies where I my clients were Samsung Global, Mastercard, Nike is one of the companies I've also worked with as well. And so that work it hasn't been very specific to Black and Brown communities. It's more so been like, the audiences, like the general market that they serve. But that work is just a wide range of competitor analysis, market research, making recommendations on how they should approach their social media, how their social media is performing, understanding the trends. I would say one of the I will say Nike is a dream client to have. I absolutely love it because I love the themes around personal growth, around finding your greatness. And so one of the projects I was super excited to be a part of was the work that they did for the Paris Olympics.
So breakdancing was a new category that was introduced to the Paris Olympics, and so Nike was trying to figure out how to be a part of that conversation. And so that's where my work came in helping them to understand the cultural nuances across four regions that they were exploring. And so based on the creative brief that I made, the creators worked to create social activations that would engage people on social media, but also drive in-store purchases and in-store engagement. And so that's what we did. And so although the breakdancing would not be in the next Olympics, it was cool. Right. I
We gonna
know.
say we gonna have a moment of silence, but we also gonna talk about people bad because what the
Mm-hmm.
hell was
No idea. No idea.
after
Well,
Nike and Makisha Noel spent so much time trying to bring this thing forward?
this is
Y'all
what they
done
do.
fucked up the breakdance competition. I don't know what they was.
And now
Child,
they not trying to bring it back.
you could have
Mm-hmm.
got damn Malik and Tyrone and them out of New York off of Broadway. Listen, they would have
Right.
killed it.
Right.
All right, I
Mm-hmm.
digress. My bad. I have to
Yes,
express my
exactly.
disappointment.
I understand. I
Because you were
understand.
like
And so
breakdancing
now
and you were
here I go,
like,
not going.
oh.
Mm-hmm. But
But that
it
was
was a
them.
great, yeah, but it was a great project to work on, and it really just continued to reinforce like my excitement for social strategy and brand, specifically brand strategy. But yeah, so like that's like what my work consists of when it comes to working with the Fortune 500 brands. And so I also just wanted to hold the door open for people who want to enter into the marketing advertising industry. Those creatives who are creative by nature and have their own projects, there is a world where you can thrive in the marketing advertising industry as well. So yes.
Love that. And you know what? There's something that I say to entrepreneurs all the time or aspiring entrepreneurs. It's like, listen, you're going to find the things that you love to do. So for you, it was being a part of the creative world in whatever way, whether it was theater or whether it was, doing all the things that you want to do with community. And then once you do that, learn how to do it well on somebody else's time and dime, child. So
Big
that's the
facts.
word.
Big facts. Yes. Because what you think is that there are going to be some systems, processes, frameworks that you really take from your learning in your full time role to bring into your business. Because here's the thing, it's honestly it's very challenging to have to learn certain things on your own when if you already put it in practice in your previous role, like what you doing with Couche. Like you've been selling for 20 years. And so now having this business, like you're absolutely ready to go so that you can continue to grow your customer base, pitch to win money for the business, so I do take a lot of the skill set that I gain when I am in the corporate America space and bring that into my business.
Absolutely. So that time and dime strategy, I keep telling people like use that. And because there's a lot of stuff, even in marketing and advertising, there are resources to the competitor data that we can't even afford, right? The databases are so expensive. It's like you got to pay to play. And so for you to be an individual contributor to that, you can't do it. You got to get with the Ogilvies and the other people. So now Shout out to all the corporations. We're not using y'all because you're using us, really.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, it's mutually beneficial.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it
So
is.
they'll be fine.
And yeah, no, they really will be okay. They really
They'll be
will.
fine.
And I remember, and I'll be honest, I used to be on that bashing the 9 to 5 train a long time ago. I used to
We
bash
can't
the
do
whole
that. We
9 to
can't do
5
them like
life.
that. We can't do them.
But then I was like, yeah, I need this job. I need this
I need these
job.
benefits. I need
Right.
all the things. Yes, I'm
Right.
telling you.
So,
Because I got to tell you, when
yeah.
I started Couche, girl, a year later, I was broke. Credit cards maxed out. I was like, I think I'm gonna need a job,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
had to jump back, grab a job. But girl, after 4 months, I got fired. It was a whole thing because I just, your heart's not in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my heart wasn't in it, and I was like, girl, stop asking me for reports. Don't you see me trying to run my company? You know what I'm saying? And so me trying to do, I was like, that's stupid.
Mhm.
I'm trying to run my company or whatever. And they could tell I wasn't really there. You know what I mean? Just mentally and all the things. And so sometimes you need to do that, and you need to use the time to build, your coiffeurs back up to where they need to be. But yeah, we can't knock the 9 to 5s because they do hold a very special place as entrepreneurs, through their journey. So we're gonna go ahead and, pour a little something out for them. Very good. Absolutely. All right, so now it's 2024. Talk to me about where you are with Creative Culture Tribe and where you want to be in the next 3 to 5 years. What is the goal? What is the vision? What we gonna see from CCT?
Yes. Okay. So where I am, I'm still the multi hyphenate that I am, because I still do work in strategy. Like that's really important to me because it keeps me fresh. Like it keeps me in the know of what's happening. But also I spend my time and make that living also from emceeing. So I MC events. I'm actually technically on tour right now, which is so crazy that we've seen each other while I'm on this tour.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right, because you were in like
yeah.
California the other day or something. Where were
Oh no, I'm
you?
going to California. I'm going to
Oh,
LA
okay.
in a few days.
Gotcha.
But I'm on the Black Women Invest tour, which I forgot to mention the shirts.
Come on,
So
come through, shirt.
yes, Black Women Invest. It exists to teach Black women how to grow their money. Right, so you could be very new to investing, or you could be a seasoned investor. And so in the community, you're able to find like the right conversations. You're able to find the deals so that you can increase your income and also build your wealth. And so this company is actually founded by my best friend, which
Oh,
is so funny. Yes, yes, yes. So
come on,
I'm with
bestie.
family. Yes, yes. And it has been incredible so far. I've been emceeing her events since 2022, actually. So it's been a
Nice.
couple years. Yes, it's been a couple years of being in the fold. So I know it's one thing that you asked me earlier when it comes to like finding the right opportunities and being in the place. So it was really in 2022 that I started also branding myself as an MC. And so I was like, if I'm going to land more gigs, then I need to just be more vocal about it. And so, when it comes to your people, you're going to show up, you're going to help, you're going to do what's needed. But I also told her, I was like, hey, you're about to do your first ever tour. And I would love to come and volunteer and do all the things, but also use me as a host. Use me
Hello.
as a host. And she paid me. And she paid me,
Exactly.
Toast
Even
Events.
better.
Yes.
Come through, bestie.
Yeah, so we traveled to Miami, ATL, Dallas, and Houston that first year. The next year we did DC, which was last year. And then this year, this current tour, it started in Houston. So we did Houston, and then the next week we did DC. And so now we're gonna do LA. We're gonna do LA next weekend. And so the theme of this tour is the Black Women Invest Wealth Blueprints Brunch. And so we've been focusing on building wealth through real estate and entrepreneurship. And so I MC the events, and I also moderate some of the panels as well. And so that has been absolutely amazing. And so now with Creative Culture Tribe, a lot of our focus right now has been on engaging the community through our monthly events called Get Social, which you got to experience last month.
I
Yes, you
did.
got
It
to
was
experience last
amazing.
month.
I had such a great time. It was phenomenal. It was fantastic.
Yes. And so
Yes.
that's the goal, right? Like when it comes to building relationships, at least for the space that I create with Get Social, it's not
Right.
about it being like stuffy busy professionals just
Right.
kind of
Like,
passing business cards, stuffing it in your face. You know what I mean? Like,
what do you
people
do
aren't
again? Like,
right. People aren't coming suited and booted. It's not that type of it's not that type of
Mm-mm.
place. I want people to feel like there is a vibe and that they're also able to make genuine connections with people, because that's also how I build relationships with people. I'm like, let's just talk. Like, what's going on? Let's have a conversation. And so that's the goal of it, focusing on networking. I'm proud to say, I've also just been accepted into the Madam CJ Walker Pace boot camp. It's an entrepreneurship boot camp. Yes, by the New Voices
Yes,
family. Are you familiar with the New Voices family?
I am. I'm part of New
Okay.
Voices. Yep. So
Okay.
congratulations. Yes, I'm
Yes.
the voices,
Yes.
girl.
Good. Okay. So you get it. You get it.
I get it. Get on the
So,
Slack channel. Get on the Slack channel. I don't pay attention as much because there's a lot going on, but
mhm.
it's great to stay connected to everybody on the Slack. So yeah.
Yes, I really need to be a lot more engaged in the Slack. But it really is a great community, and I'm joining the fall boot camp, and I'm excited because I realized that at times sometimes you need to go back to the drawing board. Sometimes how you started is not necessarily how you're going to continue, and so I realized that I need very specific business coaching so that I can bring the business to the next level. So again, thus far I'm working on building the network of Creative Culture Tribe, because I want people to be able to come to the fold and meet their next business partner, meet their next client, meet their next friend. Especially with being in Miami and it being a tough place for ambitious Black folks to find each other. I have heard that many times, and so the goal is to change that for people, and then also create this global community of ambitious Black and Brown folks. And so I'm excited to be going through this boot camp so that I can really strengthen the foundation of Creative Culture Tribe and find new opportunities to continue to grow it. So where we'll be 3 to 5 years from now, in a better place. Number
Should I
one,
check back?
check back on us in 3 to 5 years. We'll be definitely in a better place, but also operating with very specific partnerships, definitely in the media space, because I do believe our impact as Black and brown people in media is what changes the narrative of us, which is what allows us to tap into, you know, new and better opportunities. I think with Black women being able to get funded for our businesses, how we're perceived in the media, how people engage us, how they approach us, I think that really matters. And so I would say those are the partnerships I'm looking to have over the next few years so that we can usher in a generation of entrepreneurs and professionals who really want to continue to make impact in the creative space.
I love that. And trust me, as a creator myself, we out here lost, child. We just backstroking, we doing butterflying, we just trying to figure it out. And it seems that our peers, that are not Black and brown have figured it out and are being widely, not even resourced, but called upon. And we need to start having some of those same conversations and getting into the same rooms and full of the same opportunities. And so I would challenge brands and other organizations that are looking like, we ready, we out here ready. You can't say it's a pipeline problem because we hear that across the board all the time. It is not a pipeline problem. It is just that we are not necessarily in a place where you can just find us easily. So we've got to do a better job of making ourselves more visible. So I will say that. But then also people have got to start reaching out because we're out here. We out here. You know what I'm saying? We in these streets. So I agree. And I applaud you. Congrats on Madam CJ Walker's boot camp. That's gonna be
Thank you.
fanatical and
Yes.
fantastic and all the things. And just be open, you know what I'm saying? Being open to be like, I don't know nothing. And I'm hoping that they can help you
It's
start
true.
from scratch. Like, okay, start building, putting little stick figures on your paper, like this is me.
Hmm.
These are the
And that's what it is
communities and
sometimes.
how you're
Yeah.
right. And how do you tie the two together? And
Hmm.
I'm hoping to see some amazing and intentional direction for culture creative or creative culture tribe moving forward. So we're gonna have to check back in and see where you at, Miss Makisha Noel. So thank you so much. Now tell me, if there's one thing that you would advise a young woman who may be 22, 23, kind of in your space when you was back in the day trying to figure out your whole life, what would it be? What advice would you give her?
So when I was 21, 22, it was a different economy. I will say that again. I will say that again. It was a different
You
time.
like,
The
girl, just
air
stay
felt
home.
different. Right. The air felt
We
different. The
were
hot wasn't
breathing
as
different,
hot.
you know.
Right. Right. So I would say in 2024, as someone, if someone around the age of 22 is trying to find their way, um, I would say don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Yeah, don't be afraid to put yourself out there, and to, you know, just to do what you have to do, right? Like, I'll give you an example. So I've always wanted to do work with the BET Awards and with BET. And so several years ago, I was like, I received the invite to join the press team for the BET Awards. And they weren't really paying much. They don't really pay much. And they also do not pay for your travel or your accommodations or anything, right? And so I was like, well, this is a space that I know I want to be in. And I also know the potential network I can build from just being there.
Being there in the
Um,
room, yes.
yes. And the things that it wasn't just about like what celebrities, I mean, it wasn't about what celebrities I can meet at all. It was about who are the people that are running the show,
Right.
who are the people that understand the ecosystem in entertainment and media, who are the people
Mm,
that are constantly being invited back into the room.
right.
Those are the people that I want to meet. And so I took it upon myself to be like, all right, let me just get this flight. Let me stay on the couch or two. Get me a hotel for 1, 2 days. Let me see,
Right.
because LA is expensive.
LA is very expensive.
And so I flew my behind to work that BET Awards. And so I did work it for 2 years straight. And then I was like, all right, that's what I got. That's what I got. But I did build some great relationships with the people that I met in that process. So
Right.
I'll say to someone, don't be afraid to put yourself out there and to take advantage of certain opportunities. Because the thing is that some of the relationships that you're building, or I mean, a lot of the relationships that you're building is for the long haul. You're not going to see automatic conversion right away when you meet certain people. Like, as you continue to ascend in your career and as you continue to connect with other people who are also ascending in their career or already where they want to be, you're going to see the fruit down the line. And so you have to be willing to play the long game. That's number one. But number two, understand how to build and maintain relationships and how to add value to those relationships. It's not just about, hey, what can you do for me? What kind of opportunity can you provide me? What is it that you are bringing to your market, bringing to your community, bringing to your industry, and lean into that and put yourself out there in those different spaces. And I would say those so far have paid off for me to this day, yes, and I know will continue to pay off many years from now.
Absolutely. No, I think that's great advice. And it's difficult sometimes for young people to feel like, what value can I bring? But trust me, there is something that you know, that you've seen, that you've read, that you feel like might help someone that's in a different place. Sometimes they're too busy to keep up with something. Maybe you can kind of be like, hey, hope you're great, just checking in, thought you'd be interested in this article. You just never know. And keeping top of mind for people is half the battle. So out of sight, out of mind. If you're not that girl, stay top of mind, and they might just think of you when something pops up because you just happen to say, hey, just checking in. You know what I mean? And so I appreciate your words of wisdom, my darling, and wish you all the success in the world, my love. You
Thank
deserve it.
you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. So before we wrap, it's time for Couche Catastrophe.
Yes.
So,
Yes,
so
I'm
this is
ready.
our mini segment where we talk about any catastrophic drama that might have gone down with your Couche, your friend Couche, or just a Couche you might have heard about. So I would
Mm-hmm.
love to hear your version of a Couche catastrophe, darling. So
Ooh,
hit
you very good,
it.
Jasper. Whee. So I did kind of share this with Kimba earlier. So it's so important to have what I like to call now is a strong health team, a strong healthcare team. And so I'm so proud to say that my therapist is a Black Haitian woman, my doctor is a Black Haitian woman, and so yes, like they are attentive and like really just take care, right? And so last year, last year I mean, I knew this over the years, but it really started to drill home that panty liners aren't great for the cliche. And
Okay,
so,
let's highlight that. Panty liners, girls, are boo. We don't like
yeah.
liners. There are certain situations you might need one, but every day,
hmm
nah, boo.
And that's what I was
Mm-mm.
doing for years. I was
Wow.
doing yes for years, and so I decided I was going to stop doing the panty liners. And then I went on a trip to Bali, and I think probably because the
Nice.
water is different. The Bali trip was amazing, but that's the conversation for another day. But I think maybe because the water was different, the way it interacted with my Kushae, like I don't know. And so when I got back to the States, I realized that my discharge,
Was
the
discharging.
discharge, right, it was discharging, and I'm like, what's
You're like, who that?
what's that? And so I went to the doctor. And I had started doing research. I was like, is this BV or like, what exactly is happening? Because
Right.
it's not itchy down there. It's not burning. Nothing crazy is happening. It's just that smell is smelling. And so at the
Hmm.
time, I didn't have the doctor that I had now. And so that doctor chalked it up to BV.
Right.
But literally a whole year had gone by, and it was still like, what's going on? Maybe my pH has changed. I don't know.
Right.
And so with the doctor that I have now, she was like, you know what? Why don't we do a urine test? And I was like, that's a good idea. Did a
Yeah.
urine test, and like found out that there was like bacteria that showed up in my urine that
Yes.
didn't necessarily um wasn't necessarily connected to
Okay.
the situation down there, and so ended up getting that treated, thank God,
Hello. Woo!
out of my system. But what I'm grateful for is that what I learned is that your body will tell you things, and I had to learn to listen to my body. And I think that's the thing that young women aren't raised up knowing to do. Like, especially in a Caribbean household, there wasn't necessarily any teaching around. Well, I mean, outside of your period, like, yes, your mama gonna sit down and have that conversation with you, but that's where it ends.
Ends. And
That's
you
where it
better not ask no
ends.
questions. She's gonna be like, okay, goodbye.
Right. Like, all right, go run along now.
Exactly.
But like when other things start happening to your body, it's like it's a lot of self-discovery that you
Yep.
have to figure out what's happening. So even at my big age, there
Yo,
are
big
things that,
H.
like, even at my big age, I'm like, what is this? What?
Listen.
And so that's when I realized that like what was happening down there, it kind of pointed to something else. And I was so
Right.
glad that, I figured out what that was. And so I'm in a much better place now,
Yes,
because
we
my
want to be
doctor
happy.
actually, yeah, my doctor spent the time to like listen, did like a pap smear situation.
Right.
And I'm in a better place, but it was scary at
Yay.
first because I was like, what?
It's so
It's not
scary
PV,
because
so what is it?
right.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you, so it's so funny. We were doing a live the other day, Dr. Barb and I, and she said typically the any type of odor that's different is not associated with STDs. Like STDs tend not to have. And so I was like, for the ladies out here who smell a little something, just be like, whoo, child, because it's probably not that. And mostly it's something that you can fix. So even though an odor or something that's a little bit off feels, smells wrong to you, or, maybe a little bit more something that is apparent, it's typically not the worst case scenario. So that's the good news. The bad news is that the other stuff could creep up on your ass and you might not know. So, I think if you were to choose, I'd take the odor for 500 because that's probably something you could deal with. So, just dropping a little dime on that too, because women were like, oh, thank God that's good. But hey, you could have two things going on at once. It's just crazy. But I think we got to
Yeah.
stop being so embarrassed because it happens to every couche.
Mm-hmm.
Been there, done that. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about couches all the time. Got my own.
Mm-hmm.
Managing that.
Managing that.
That's
It's
a whole
real.
day. That's a whole day job.
Mm-hmm. It
And
really is.
so, thank you so much for being transparent because, there are so many women who just don't want to have that conversation and they stay stuck. And I'm just like, let's just have a conversation, get past feeling stuck, and let's get you off to happy couche days. You know what I mean? That's kind of where we want
Mm-hmm.
everybody to be. So, It's a beautiful thing. And of course, if you ever need some Couche products, I got you a little discount on.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Yes, my love. So anyway, thank you so much for sharing your Couche catastrophe. And you all, thank you so much, gentle listeners, for joining us today on this episode of Kushae Chronicles. We will be out, but we'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Thank you, Makisha. It was a beautiful time. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right. No worries, baby. Say bye to the listeners. Bye, everyone.
Bye.